Hey guys, it's Will here, and today I want to talk about bases, and specifically the bases on really big models. Now, as you probably know, of late, the last few years, GW have been producing bigger and bigger models, which is all very exciting. It's led to some really cool looking miniatures and some maybe not so cool looking flying toasters, but hey, most of them have been looking pretty good. But the thing that's happening with all these big miniatures is we're getting much bigger bases. I remember way back when the largest bases GW did were the chariot size base and the dreadnought size base. And yeah, that has certainly changed. I mean, you've got bases like this Star Drake here. It has an absolutely enormous base. You'd easily have two dreadnoughts standing on there with space to spare. And with these bigger bases, you know, they tend to provide a bit of a blank canvas. If you've got a small miniature, like say a Space Marine or an Orc or an Eldar Guardian or something, you know, you've got a relatively small area, and it really doesn't look at all bad if you just do a really basic base and stick your miniature on there, because the miniature is the focus. And while with these large kits the miniature is definitely still the main focus, if you leave the base blank you end up with a large sort of blank space that looks a little bit uninteresting. Now you know, if you're just getting something ready quick to game, then that's absolutely fine. It's your model, it's up to you what you do with it. But I personally think that when you've got such a large flat expanse, you know, it's a blank canvas. You want to do something with it to make the miniature look you know, just stand out a bit more, look a bit more your own, and just generally be what you want it to be. So the point of this video isn't to criticise people who don't do elaborate bases on their large miniatures, because you know, it's your hobby and you are welcome to do what you want. You know, if you want to just put a quick bit of sand over there, dry brush over the top of that, Bob's your uncle, that's absolutely fine, that is perfectly acceptable. But this video is more to give you inspiration for those of you who do want to do something with your large bases, to help break up the space a bit and yeah, show you some ideas. This certainly isn't everything, and I'm not saying that you know, I am the best person in the world at this, but you know, I think I've got some good ideas. I've got a little showcase of my models here, and yeah, so the point is really just going to be to inspire you and give you some ideas to do your own bases. So the first miniature that I've brought into close shot here is my Stormraven gunship. Did this a few years ago now, but it's certainly had a lot of use lately. And as you can see, the base I've gone for is sort of general battlefield debris. So all of this has come out of my bits box. You know, very rarely do I buy materials specifically for basing. This, I can't even remember where I got this tank trap from, but it is from a GW kit somewhere. And as you can see, I've stuck that over the sort of the standard basing material, made it sort of look very rusted and weathered, and just sort of generally darkened it down. And then I've got all these bits that are from the Orc truck kit. Now these are all just spares from my Orc army, and I've just scattered them on there, cut them up, rusted them, made them all look scraped and battle damaged, and the idea being that this you know, was an Orc truck here, but something big has hit it and it's now in pieces and slammed into a tank trap and stopped. You see, you've got the weapon pointing out there. And this is just something really simple to help to sort of capture the theme of the battlefield, you know. And you've got some space, you might as well do something with it. Next up, I've got this Dark Eldar Razorwing jet fighter from my Cabal of the Frozen Shard army that I did for Tale of Four Gamers. And as you can see, a large area of the base, or at least lots of large impact visually from the base, is from this bit of Vindicator here, which I've done in Iron Warriors colours. Now that was a very specific colour scheme I chose there, because in the original Tale of Four Gamers campaign, Sam was playing Iron Warriors, so I thought, you know what, let's you know, have a bit of a theme as to what I'm fighting against. So I've got this spare part from a Vindicator I'd been working on. Yes, it's Loyalist, but you know, it's only the Dozer blade, and I've got some other fragments of it around here. And then to finish the base off, I've rather than going for more bits of tank and more metallic parts, gone for just some rocks. Now these are literally just rocks that I've taken out of the garden and then painted into the colour scheme for the rest of the base, and finish it off with the snow to match the theme of the rest of the army, because that's the thing with these large models, although you want to make them stand out, you still want to make it fit in with the rest of your army. You know, you don't want to have it some sort of like completely different scheme that just doesn't fit with anything else you've got. Next up we've got my Imperial Knight, Sir Frederick of House Cadmus, and as you can see the basing is similar to the last two in that we've got bits of battlefield debris and we've got this very dark colour that is achieved with Agrax, no not Agrax Earthshade, what's it called, Underhive Ash, washed over with Nuln Oil and then dry brushed. Alternatively you can use just sand washed over with black to hold it in and then dry brushed up. But yeah, the big thing here is I've got a little bit of like ruined building here. This is from the Imperial Buildings kit, and I've just got it here so he's like stepping over it, which I think just gives a nice bit of interaction between the model and the base, you know, whereas those last two ones were flyers, so there was no interaction at all. The base was, you know, a good 6 inches under them. Here he's actually on the base, so you've got him kind of so he's stepping over this low wall, which obviously being a knight he can easily do. And then we've got some blown up bits of rhino here. I think these are probably from actually the same kit as the Vindicator parts over there from when I did a Vindicator, because it doesn't use these standard components. But yeah, it's that's my Imperial Knight, and this sort of Imperial structure stuff makes for nice basing things, because it really sets the theme, but it's subtle enough that it doesn't usually sort of jump out too much and make the model look less significant than the base, because while you want your base to look nice, you still want the main focus to be on the model itself. And while I said that normally with a flyer it won't be interacting with the base at all, in this case there is something a little bit sort of contrary to that, this Orc Dakajet. Now obviously the Dakajet itself isn't a bomber, but it comes in the multi-part kit with the bomber components, so I've actually used one of the bombs that's come off the same kit here and glued that into the base. Obviously I've chopped it like that so it looks like the bomb's fallen and then failed to go off, but it's dangerously close to these leaking oil barrels, and if you look there, that is very dark green, washed over with, or not washed over, covered over with Citadel water effects to give that a nice sort of oil slick look, as if, you know, yeah, that bomb hasn't gone off yet, but if it does, that's going to produce a rather nasty little blast there. And then I've got some grass here. This is just ordinary Citadel static grass. Don't use it a lot in my basing because most of my 40k stuff has kind of more of like an ash waste hive world theme to it, but my orcs are a bit more organic in their basing, so there's some scope to put grass on there. And this base here, as you can see, is a Tau Ghost Keel. What do you mean you can't see it? It's in stealth mode, obviously. No, this is actually going to be the base for my Redemptor Dreadnought that I'm working on at the moment, but I'm painting him off the base. So as you can see, the base is there, but the Redemptor base is very large. It's larger than the standard Dreadnought, and that's given me a bit of a problem because most of my size of the Emperor army are using the Sector Mechanicum bases, which are pre-made bases from GW, which are really cool looking, but they don't go above standard Dreadnought size, which means that for my Redemptor I didn't have anything from that kit to put them on, but I wanted him to still fit in with the rest of the army, because like I said, you know, it's important that your models all sort of look like they are a cohesive army rather than just a collection of random models. So what I've done is, again, using some of the stuff from the Imperial basing, the Imperial building kit, only had 3 panels left, so I stuck those on there, and then this other one I've kind of used the old Warhammer Fantasy movement tray as the base, and then stuck some bits on from my bits box. So we've got this control panel, these which I believe are from a Necron, what they're called, the little jet bike things, tomb blades, and then this hatch to look like a trapdoor. Still working on this at the moment, going to make it sort of fit in with the rest of the theme of the army, but that's kind of yeah, very sort of industrial basing, not just even like ash waste with industrial bits. It's full on, this is meant to look like it's entirely made of metal, and my dreadnought's going to sit on that, and that should help to fit him in with the rest of my army. That's all the 40k bases I've got to show you today, but I've just got 3 fantasy miniatures as well. 2 of them that I did in old Warhammer Fantasy, and then 1 right up to date Age of Sigmar kit. So this is one of my first attempts with playing with water effects. This is the old High Elf Dragon kit, and as you can see, he's modelled, it comes with this nice sort of like rock that he's leaping off there, and in the box that's shown just like as a rock protruding over grasslands, and he's leaping out over that. But I wanted to make that a cliff, so I've done a little bit of sand around here, and then had the majority of the base taken up by water. I've green stuffed some waves in there, which didn't turn out as well as I would have liked, and you can't see the water effect too well because it's almost too flat space, so it doesn't get the same reflectiveness as you sometimes would. But like I say, this was an early attempt, and I think it does set the model off nicely. You've got the dragon jumping off the cliff on the edge of Ulthran off to fight the enemies of the High Elves. Then we've got this Frostheart Phoenix. Now, as you can see, his flying stand is way too short. He should have a much longer flying stand, but I don't know where it is, so I've just temporarily balanced him on this one. And let's take him off so we can take a look at the base. So he does, like the dragon, have a bit of scenery that comes with the base, but I wanted to make it more elaborate, so gone for an ice theme, being as he's a Frostheart Phoenix who's meant to chill the air around him. So this little puddle here is meant to look like ice, so what I've done there is a very light blue, and then stuck a bit of clear plastic like you get from a blister pack over the top of that, and then if we can zoom in, there's a little bit of snow and some cracks over the top of that as well, and then obviously we've got some Citadel snow on the rest of the base to make it very sort of cold, wintry themed basin. And then my final model is in complete contrast to that wintry basing. We have Realm of Fire Magma Basin from my Star Drake. Only just finished him recently, and again, like a lot of these fantasy models do, he's got some basing plastic already on there, you know, moulded in, so we've got these bits of wall, this little bit of tree, but I wanted to be a bit more elaborate with that because he has an absolutely enormous base. So using my standard fire basing technique here, so we've got these magma flows flowing through here, which is just the areas of the base left blank and then painted in progressively brighter fire colours, and then washed over with water effects again to give it a nice glow. And yeah, I think that has produced some rather nice results, and like many of the other miniatures here, it's very much designed to fit in with the theme of the rest of the army that he's part of. So that's just some of my thoughts on basing your larger miniatures. I hope you guys found it interesting, and maybe it's inspired you to do something cool with the bases on the big miniatures in your collection. But like I said, you know, please don't feel that I'm saying there's anything wrong with not doing this sort of thing. You know, it's your hobby and you do what you want, but yeah, this is how I like to do it. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.